I want you to talk about this, the psychology of this character. It, to me, is maybe the most interesting character in the film, and the the sort of the relationship that he has both to Calvin Candy, but also to the other slaves, and this sense of
Relationship.
this small power that he's holding on to.
Small power? I'm the power behind the throne. What are you talking about? I'm like the Spook Cheney of Candyland. Yeah, I'm all up in that. But let's see when I got it. What? You knew that. You knew that.
Same thing we said at the rehearsal table all day.
Exactly. It's like it's what it is. Um, you know, to tell this story, you have to have, that particular character, especially if it's in this setting. So when I got the script from Quentin, he just called me, told me he wrote a Western. He wanted me to read Stephen. I complained about being 15 years too old to be Django. And I was done with that. And then when I read the script, I called him back and said, so you want me to be the most despicable Negro in cinematic history? And we were both kind of like laughed together and said, yeah, let's get on that. And not only was that a great artistic opportunity and to create something that was iconic and to take what people know as Uncle Tom and turn it on his head in a powerful way. It also gave me an opportunity to do really nasty shit to the person that got the role that I thought I should have had.
Payback's a bitch.
Yeah, it is. And it was written beautifully that way, so I could do that. But to tell this story, you have to have that guy. And I mean, Stephen is the freest slave in the history of cinema. He has all the powers of the master and literally is the master during the times and most times when Calvin is off Mandingo fighting. He makes the plantation run. Everybody on that plantation knows him. Everybody on the plantation fears him. He has a feeble persona that makes people kind of disregard him in an interesting sort of way. Even though they fear him, they kind of think he's physically not able to keep up or do things, but he's around. We used to refer to him as the Basil Rathbone of the antebellum South, and that's what we tried to do. But I wanted to play him honestly, and I wanted everybody to understand that when Django shows up, that's a Negro we've never seen before. Not only is he on a horse, he got a gun, and he speaks out. And the first thing I have to do is let all the other Negroes on the plantation know that's not something you can aspire to. So let me put him in his place as quickly as I possibly can. And I wholeheartedly embrace that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that really needs to be taken into account, we know because we have historical perspective that slavery is on its way out. It's 2 years before the start of the Civil War. They don't know that. They have to think that for at least the next 150 years, at least, this is the way it is.
Right.
There is no end in sight. All those Northerners, those bleeding hot liberals can say anything they want, don't mean nothing down here. They don't understand us, and ain't nothing going to ever changed.
Now, even at the end, you hear me saying, there's always going to be a Candyland. This ain't going away. This is here to stay.
Leo, this is the first film you've been in quite a long time where you're not the only name above the title, and
And it sucks.
where
It's very uncomfortable for all of us.
where you are one of, although perhaps not the biggest villain of the piece, as Sam was just saying. Can you talk a little bit about what made you want to take on this role?
Well, I mean, obviously, Mr. Tarantino here was a major factor, but we all read this script. There was a sort of buzz about this script around for a while, and people were talking about the next Tarantino movie that was about to come out, and the fact that he tackled this subject matter like he did with sort of Inglourious Basterds and recreated his own history, and tackled something as hardcore as slavery, and combined it with the genre of having it be this crazy spaghetti western feel to it with this lead character that sort of obliterates the cankerous, rotting South was completely exciting, and he wrote this incredible character, and as soon as I read it, I was incredibly excited. I mean, this man was, as Quentin put it, you know, he was a character that represented everything that was wrong with the South at the time. You know what I mean? He was like a young Louis the 14th, a young sort of a prince that wanted to hold on to his position of privilege at all costs, and you know, justified away, even though he was integrated his whole life with black people, he brought up by a black man, you know, lived with him his entire life. He had to find a moral justification to treat people this way and continue his business. He had a plantation to run, and so he became this sort of, you know, this you know, I don't know. There's a lot of, you know, the fact that he's a Francophile, but he doesn't speak French. He's a walking contradiction. You know what I mean? He lives and is brought up by black people, yet he has to regard them as not human. You know what I'm saying? It was this incredibly interesting, horrifically. There was absolutely nothing about this man that I could identify with. I hated him, and it was one of the most narcissistic, self-indulgent, racist, horrible characters I've ever read in my entire life, and
Just had to do it.
I had to do it. It was too good not to do. You know, it was too good of a character in that sense, and I don't know. I mean, this man writes just incredible characters, and it was also, of course, the opportunity to work with all these great people too.